In today's video, we're going to be going through every single country on planet Earth, and I'm going to give you the best championship footballer from each of them. Now, this is going to be a big video, guys, so 400 likes on today's video would be massively appreciated. But without any further ado, let's jump in. Starting out with Albania, I'm going to give it to Bristol City's Anis Mehmeti. Not got the most goal contributions so far this season, but definitely a player that does pass the eye test when you watch him play. Very good technically and in tight spaces, decent at going off either foot as well, and just a very entertaining player to watch for me. Algeria, I'm going to give it to Stoke City's Mehdi Lloris. Had a good start to his Stoke City career, has faded a little bit since then, but very versatile, has played all down the right hand side for Stoke, whether that's as a right wing back or a right winger. Antigua, I'm going to give to Marlon Romeo of Cardiff. Not really been a regular starter for them so far this season, but throughout his championship career he has racked up over 180 appearances at this level, and as you'd understand, not much competition for that country. The best Argentine player in the championship, I've got to give it to Southampton's Carlos Alcaraz. Now, more often than not, he has been used as an impact sub by Russ Martin so far this season. Another quite versatile player, can play in multiple positions for Southampton. He's got 3 goals and an assist so far this season. Australia, there was quite a bit of competition, but I'm going to give it to Ipswich's Massimo Luongo. I think based on this season in isolation, he's probably been the best Australian footballer in the championship, playing well above his level of what we've previously seen from him in the championship. But him alongside Sam Morsy, they've both been absolutely brilliant for Ipswich and a fundamental reason why they've done so well so far. Had it not been for injuries this season, that spot probably would have gone to Riley McGree. Austria was a bit of a tricky one, but I am going to give it to Andy Weimann. Recently made the switch from Bristol City to West Brom. No longer at the very peak of his powers, I think would be fair to say. You've got to respect him for what he's done in the championship previously, and on every outing he's always going to give you 100%, isn't he? The best Belgian footballer in the championship, I've got to give it to Wout Faes of Leicester City. Been one of the best defenders in the championship up until this point of the season. He's been absolutely exceptional, and I think for most people would probably make it into a championship team of the season so far, and I think justifiably so. From Bermuda, I'm going to give it to Bristol City's Nahki Wells. He is right up there in the all-time top scorers charts for championship strikers. Another player who perhaps isn't quite at the peak of his powers anymore, but for what he's done in years gone by in the championship, and still chips in with a couple goal contributions here and there. Bosnia, I'm going to give it to the experienced shot stopper that is Asmir Begovic, now playing for QPR. He's had plenty to do so far this season. He's made 77 saves in the championship up until this point. That's the 5th most of any championship goalkeeper, which tells you how busy he's been. Best Brazilian in the championship, of course I've got to give it to Norwich City's Gabriel Sara. Been one of the best creative outlets in the league so far this season, really taking his game up a level from last season as well, and the stats really speak for themselves. 5 goals, 8 assists up until this point, a bunch of chances created for his teammates, and a really enjoyable player to watch as well. For Bulgaria, there's not that much competition, so I will give it to Leeds United's Ilya Gruev. More often than not this season he's been used as a substitution coming on, but with 9 appearances off the bench as well, he's been a good solid option for Leeds to bring on. From Cameroon, I'm going to give it to Stoke City's Junior Semedo. Still early days in his Stoke career after signing in the summer, but looking forward to seeing more of him in the years to come. From Canada, of course, I've got to back my boy Liam Miller. He has been by far and away Preston's most entertaining player to watch so far this season. Cutting inside from that left-hand side, he's got 8 goal contributions so far this season in the championship. His goal catalogue has been excellent, and he is someone who will get you up and out your seat. From Chile, I will give it to Norwich City's Marcelino Nunes. He's been in and out of that starting 11 so far this season. On his day can be quite an effective player though. The best Colombian currently playing in the championship, I've got to hand it to Watford's Yasser Asprilla. He is one of their more technically gifted players. He's been in and out of that starting 11, but more often than not will produce a game game-changing moment. He's got 8 goal contributions in just over 1,300 minutes of championship football, which is decent going. From DR Congo, I'm going to give it to Grady Diangana. He's got 9 goal contributions so far this season for West Brom with 5 goals and 4 assists. Very good in those 1v1 situations and absolutely rapid with the ball at his feet as well. From Costa Rica, I'll give it to Sunderland's Justin Bennett. Not played that much football so far this season, but he is the only Costa Rican playing in the championship right now. For the Ivory Coast, I'll give it to Cedric Kipre, who's played an integral role in a Baggies defence, which has been one of the best in the championship so far this season, although Seriat Hall also deserves an honourable mention in there. From Croatia, I'll give it to Birmingham's Ivan Sunjic. I'm interested to see what the future holds for him. His contract with Birmingham is up at the end of the season. I think it will probably be fair to say that he's not quite lived up to expectations over the course of his full Blues career, given the money they originally spent on him. But for what he does, I think he can be quite good at. He's just maybe a little bit limited. But Blues fans, what do you think? Best player from Cuba, I've got to hand it to Norwich's Onel Hernandez. Has been used as an impact sub more often than not so far this season, but still an exciting player to watch. From Curacao, I'm handing it to Birmingham's Juninho Bacuna, one of their more entertaining players more often than not provides the goods. He's got 10 goal contributions from midfield so far this season, also won 6 Man of the Match awards for Birmingham, which is really impressive. From the Czech Republic, I've got to hand it to Ipswich's Václav Chlagli, who's been really effective for the Tractor Boys in goals so far this season. He's kept 9 clean sheets, only West Brom's Alex Palmer has kept more than that up until this point of the season. Moving over to Denmark, I'm going to stick in the goalkeeping department. I'm going to give it to Leicester City's Mads Hermansen. He has been arguably the best goalkeeper in the championship up until this point. 9 clean sheets, a save percentage of 77.7%, and also brilliant with the ball at his feet as well. Yeah, Leicester got a really good deal bringing him in the summer. From Ecuador, I'm giving it to Jeremy Sarmiento. He's currently on loan with Ipswich, did spend the first half of the season on loan with West Brom, where didn't have the greatest of impacts, but I'm interested to see what he can deliver in this second half of the campaign. The best Egyptian, of course, I've got to give it to Ipswich's Sam Morsy. Now, in years gone by, Morsy has always been a relatively solid performer at championship level, but this season for the Tractor Boys, he's surpassed all sorts of expectations. 5 goal contributions from midfield, but the work he does off the ball as well, an average of 2.6 tackles per 90. He really is the heartbeat of that Ipswich side. For England, there is so much competition, but I think I'm going to hand it to Leicester City's Kiernan Dewsbury Hall. He's been their outstanding player so far this season. The Foxes are deservedly top of the championship right now. 18 goal contributions from midfield. Now, there are a lot of honourable mentions for the England spot. Jack Clark, Kyle Walker-Peters, a few other of the Leicester boys, but Dewsbury Hall just takes the nod for me. From Finland, I'm going to give it to Leeds United's Glenn Kamara. I think he's been a really solid addition into that Leeds midfield so far this season. Definitely an honourable mention to Middlesbrough's Marcus Forster, and now he's back from injury, he could be a shout for this spot as well. Undoubtedly the best French player in the championship, of course it's Leeds United's Jorginho Rutter. 5 goals and 9 assists for Daniel Farke's side so far this season. Technical ability absolutely through the roof. As a player to watch as well, he's absolutely brilliant. From Gambia, it's Cardiff City's Ibu Adams. Not played that much football so far this season for Cardiff. He's currently away on AFCON as well. Next up then we get to Georgia, who I'm going to give to Georgi Chakfadadze of Watford. More often than not, he's been utilised in that impact sub sort of role. Now, it surprised me a little bit, but there's not that much German talent currently playing in the championship. So much so that I think I'm going to give this one to Preston North End's Patrick Bauer, and he's barely played so far this season. A reliable defender when called upon, albeit maybe he probably has lost a yard of pace or two over these last few years. Would there be any other shouts for Germany in the comments down below? For Ghana, I've got to give it to Abdul Fatawu. He's been absolutely excellent while on loan with Leicester City so far this season. 2 goals and 7 assists for the right winger. Discounting that red card against Coventry, he's been absolutely excellent this season. The best Greek player in the championship, I'm going to give it to Cardiff's Dimitrios Goutas. I think they got an absolute bargain when they snapped him up in the summer. Aerially, I think an absolutely brilliant brilliant defender and also chipped in with a fair few goals this season, 4 so far for the 29-year-old Greek defender. From Guyana, it's Stephen Duke McKenna at QPR. Not had that much action so far this season, but he's the only applicable player. From Holland, of course, it's Leeds United's Crescencio Somerville, arguably been the best player in the league outright up until this point. With 12 goals, 7 assists, some absolutely sublime underlying numbers. Yeah, he'll be a Premier League star one day, there's no doubt about that. The best Icelandic player in the Championship, I'll hand to Blackburn Rovers' Arnór Sigurdsson. He's managed 6 goal contributions so far this season from 14 starts and 6 appearances off the bench, which is fairly decent going. From Indonesia, it's Ipswich Town's Elkan Baggett, one of their younger players who's continuing his development with the Tractor Boys. From Iran, I'm going to give to Hull City Sayed Mandesh. Now, it looks more than likely that he will be heading out on loan in the January window. There's clearly a very talented player in there, but since making the move over to Hull City, he has been desperately unlucky with injuries, hasn't he? From Iraq, it's Alexander Araha, who's currently playing for QPR. As you'd imagine, there aren't too many Iraqi footballers currently playing in the Championship. The best Italian in the league, it's got to be Leeds United's Wilfried Gnonto. Now, more often than not, he's been utilised as an impact sub, and there is still this doubt over his long-term future and whether or not that will be at Ellen Road or not. When he does get a consistent run in the team though, you can tell he's got that stardust in his boots and is a very enjoyable player to watch. Do you know what? There are a lot of talented Jamaican footballers in the Championship. For this position, I think I'm going to give the nod to Jamal Lowe. I've always been a big fan of his from his days at Wigan and Bournemouth and now back at Swansea, where he's got 6 goals and 2 assists so far this season. The best Japanese player in the Championship, I've got to hand it to Sakamoto, one of the most enjoyable players in the league to watch for me. He's got an absolute wand of a left foot, brilliant at cutting inside from that right hand side for Coventry, and I mean, he's been instrumental in this recent great run of form that they've had. Always enjoy tuning into a Coventry match when he's on the pitch. As the best player from Mali, I'll hand it to Hull City's Adama Traore. He's played all over the pitch for the Tigers so far this season and has got 2 goals and 1 assist from just over 1,000 minutes of football. From Montenegro, do you know what? I'll give Milutin Osmaic the nod for this one. You can tell he's still acclimatising to the level, having only just moved over to the Championship, but 6 goal contributions from just over 1,100 minutes of football isn't bad going considering it is his debut season. From Morocco, of course, I'm picking out QPR's Ilias Chair. 3 goals and 4 assists so far this season, but a fundamental part of how QPR go forward and create their chances on average. Creates 1.5 chances per game and has 2.4 shots for himself. From New Zealand, I'll pick out Plymouth Argyle's Ben Waine. He scored 2 goals and got an assist for Plymouth so far and is often used as an impact sub. Quite a few talented Nigerians playing in the Championship. I think I'll give the nod to Leicester's Wilfred Ndidi, a player within that squad, like a lot of them, who is Premier League quality. I'm interested to see what will happen with Ndidi come the end of the season, as his contract with the Foxes does expire in the summer of 2024, but yeah, for the Championship, a supremely talented midfielder. There's plenty of Northern Irish talent in the Championship, but as the best player, I'm going to pick out as Sunderland's Dan Ballard. Proven himself to be a really good signing for Sunderland, and at just 24 years old as well, still has plenty of room to grow, and one day I wouldn't be surprised to see him in the Premier League. From Norway, I'll go for Blackburn Rovers' Sondre Tronstad. I think at what he does, he's decent, albeit maybe a bit of a limited midfielder. But in terms of breaking up play, he can do a decent job. He averages 2.9 tackles per game. The best player from the Philippines, I'll have to give it to Neil Etheridge. He doesn't get much of a look in at Birmingham these days. He's often their backup goalkeeper, but in years gone by was a really good shot stopper at this level. From Poland, I'm going to give it to Helik, I think. Bednarek from Southampton was another honourable mention. He's been really good defensively, but when you consider Helik is Huddersfield's top scorer at this point of the season with 8 goals from the back, you've got to give him the shout for this one, haven't you? Since his arrival at Huddersfield, you'd probably say he's been their most consistent performer. From Portugal, now Fabio Carvalho could have a shout for this one, but for the time being, I think I've got to hand it to Ricardo Pereira of Leicester City. One of the best fullbacks in the Championship, and is a player who just oozes class and really good at the defensive and attacking side of the game. The best Irish player in the Championship, I've got to hand it to Blackburn's Sammy Smodics. Now, prior to doing this video, I hadn't actually realised that he was Irish. Now, he was born in Colchester, but last year declared for the Republic of Ireland. I believe he's still yet to make his international debut. But what a season he's had for Rovers so far. 16 goals and 3 assists. Although there is plenty of Irish talent in the Championship, and shout out to a few of the North End boys, the likes of Alan Brown and Will Keane, who have both been good this year as well. For Romania, I'll give it to Coventry's Marco Russ. He has spent this season out on loan with Chorley so far. With Scotland, you've got plenty of options, haven't you? I think if you're looking for a goal threat, you're probably looking towards Southampton's Che Adams. He's got 8 goals and 2 assists from just 12 starts and 12 sub appearances. Has been in and out of that Saints starting lineup this season, but of late especially, he's on a cracking run of form. From Senegal, I've got to hand it to Middlesbrough's Seny Dieng. Has pulled off some fantastic saves so far this season and has established himself as a real fan favourite with the Middlesbrough faithful since that move from QPR in the summer. From Serbia, I'll give it to Huddersfield's Bojan Radljevic. We're still in the early days of his time at Huddersfield, and so still figuring out how much of an impact he'll actually have on that side, but comes with a fairly decent reputation, and I'm looking forward to seeing more of him. For Sierra Leone, do you know what? I think Alex Bangura has been decent when I've seen him play this season for Middlesbrough. Obviously, Osman Kaki's another option for this one as well at QPR, but remember Bangura putting in a very good performance when Deepdale came to the Riverside earlier in the season. Got a couple goal contributions as well so far. For Spain, I think I'll give it to Junior Firpo. Not that many Spanish players currently playing in the Championship, which was a little bit of a surprise for me when doing some more digging for this video. Obviously, Leeds fans probably never seen the best of Firpo. Injuries and things like that haven't helped, but on his day can still be a decent performer. With St Kitts, it's Romain Sawyers who gets the nod for this one. Imagine he'll be leaving Cardiff when his contract's up at the end of the season. Hasn't got that much of a look in there so far this season. St Lucia, I'll give to Ipswich's Janai Donacien. He's not that much of a regular within Kieran McKenna's side these days, but still can be reliable enough when called upon. For Suriname, it's Kenneth Pal of Queen's Park Rangers. Definitely one of their more consistent performers so far this season. I think QPR actually got a really good deal when they picked him up. 3 goals and an assist so far this season. Very versatile in the positions he can play as well, all down that left-hand side. The best Swedish player in the Championship, I'm going to have to give it to Rotherham's Victor Johansson. He's faced with so much to do week in, week out, and more often than not, he does produce some worldy saves on quite the regular basis. In fact, so far this season, no Championship goalkeeper has made more saves than Johansson has, 112 up until this point of the season. For Switzerland, we're going over to Norwich for Christian Fassnacht. He's been in and out of that starting 11 so far this season, 13 starts and 12 appearances off the bench. In that time for the Canaries, he's managed to score 4 goals. The best Turkish player, I'm going to give it to West Brom's Okay Yukashlu. I think a really solid player at the base of that midfield for West Brom. I think they did well the other year to get him back to the club on a permanent basis. Just keeps them ticking along in midfield and really good off the ball as well. For Ukraine, I'm going to give it to Sunderland's Nazari Ruzhin. Now, coincidentally, his only goal of the season so far did come against my side, Preston North End. Took that goal very well, to be fair to him. He's only played 442 minutes of Championship football so far this season. Has got a couple of goal contributions, but as you'd imagine, not that many Ukrainian players currently playing in the Championship. For the United States, there is quite a bit of competition for this one. I think I'm going to give it to Norwich's Josh Sargent. I think when fully fit, he is probably the best United States player in the Championship. Obviously, Haji Wright's another one who has had a bit of form about him recently. Dwayne Holmes has been really solid for my side, North End, but Josh Sargent so far this season, 6 goal contributions in just 435 minutes of Championship football is really impressive. Wales, there is plenty of competition. You could give it to Joe Rodon, Aaron Ramsey, plenty of other honourable mentions, but I think I'm going to have to give it to Leeds' Daniel James. He's got 15 goal contributions for Leeds so far this season, has done well to nail down a consistent starting spot on that right hand side as well, given all the talent that Leeds do have in that forward line. But yeah, good player Dan James, and obviously managed to get on the score sheet over the weekend against my side, North End, as well. From Zambia, of course, it's Leicester City's Patson Daka. Not had that much football so far this season. There has been quite a bit of competition in at the front end of the pitch for Leicester, and obviously has also been away on AFCON recently as well. But in just 7 appearances, he's managed to score 4 goals and get 2 assists, and is clearly a player who's more than good enough to cut it at this level. And then to finish off this entire list with Zimbabwe, we have Brendan Galloway of Plymouth Argyle. 11 appearances for Galloway so far this season, putting a good performance against Cardiff over the weekend as well. But there you guys have it. There is every country on planet Earth and who I believe to be the best championship player from that nation. Now, obviously, not every nation is represented in this video as they're not all playing in the championship, but I'd welcome your guys' thoughts on this one in the comments down below. Plenty of debate to be had, but if you did go on to enjoy, make sure to leave a like and do stick around and subscribe for some regular championship content. Apart from that though guys, thanks for watching and I'll see you all in the next one.